Hi, everyone. Well, I'm really happy to be here with you today. And yeah, that's my name. And I wanted to talk to you today about designing for a circular economy. So when I first heard about the theme of this gathering, high maintenance, I thought it was such a clever play on words. Because this expression has always been used to denote something negative, like somebody who's really annoying or needs a lot of attention. But actually, in this context, it's pushing us to shift our mindset and think about the products that we make and be more mindful about that, which is very relevant to the company I come from, because Ideo is actually a human-centered design and innovation firm. But we started our journey as a product design firm in California, and we made things like the first mouse for Apple. So we happened to be very close by neighbors to Steve Jobs, and when they didn't have their in-house design team, Ideo was doing a lot of the product design for Apple. And we do that through multidisciplinary teams. Originally, the concept of Ideo was putting together designers and engineers who traditionally are in conflict because a design is made without regarding how it's actually going to be produced. So we thought, well, let's shortcut that, put them together, and co-create. And from those two sets of disciplines, then we've expanded our set of disciplines to many more. So I was asking myself, what is maintenance for a global design firm like Ideo? So for us, also forgot to mention that beyond products, today we also design services, and also businesses, so business models. In particular, I'm a business designer. And also, we're pushing ourselves into the space of systems. So in the circular economy, you need to think beyond the object and think about the context in which it operates and what's the upstream and downstream consequences of this. So this is how we're shifting. And in order to maintain ourselves as a consultancy firm, we need to push our creative edges. So for me, for Ideo, maintenance means keeping our eyes open to what are the new trends that are coming into the world and what is the role of design for that. And we do that by bringing a diversity of perspectives into our own company. So I mentioned we're a multidisciplinary design firm, so we have up to 20 different disciplines today within Ideo, ranging from the traditional product or industrial designers, but also the more modern interaction designers. And the newest additions to our group of disciplines are, of course, circular design, of which I was the first. And then also we have a practice in augmented intelligence. So instead of artificial intelligence, we believe that AI will augment the power of humans. So that's another one of those that we've added and we've created a practice around. But we don't only need to bring diversity internally into our organization, we also need to be connected with different networks of people to have that diversity of perspectives that would inspire better design. So for example, myself being here today, which is in this setting with this group of people, which, like Martin said, there's probably no business model behind it, but at the same time, the richness that you can bring to my personal experience and how that I can take that home to maintain my practice of design. So when we reach out to communities or to other networks, that's actually how circular design started at Ideo. So our CEO, Tim Brown, usually goes to the World Economic Forum, and you know how it is in that like tiny Swiss town. They have chats, they sit next to the fire, and they meet each other, the world powers, and he actually met a really interesting lady, and her name is MacArthur. And she's actually a sailor. she sailed around the world solo, and at the time broke the world record. And as she was in this boat, she realized that there were limited resources. And she started this foundation called by her name to spread the concept of circular economy around the world. And I will tell you in a little bit what the circular economy is, what that concept is. But actually, Tim and Ellen were discussing the role of design within the circular economy, and that's how everything started, around 4 to 5 years ago with Ideo. Because actually the circular economy is one that is restorative and regenerative by design. So the word design is actually in the definition. And if we think about it, the economy is not something that actually happened to us. It's something that is man-made. The rules of the game were designed by somebody. So the really optimistic view is that we could actually redesign these rules of the game. And the circular economy is one of those that is trying to find new ways to create value, being mindful to our environment, and like the previous speaker said, finding value in what's already there and extracting the most value from that in different cycles. So the circular economy is based in 3 principles as defined by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. There are many different schools of thought, including, for example, one of the most known is cradle to cradle, but they are all in synergy. And the first principle is designing out waste and pollution. Again, the word design comes into play. The second one, which is the most closely related to the topic of maintenance, is keeping products and materials in use. So in order to do that, we need to take care of them. We need to prevent them from breaking down. So maintenance plays a really big role in this principle. And then regenerating, so including natural, social, and business systems. And that includes finding new business models and shifting the way that we do business so that it's more regenerative. So this is our sketched interpretation of a very much more complex butterfly diagram that defines the circular economy. And it shows 2 cycles, the biological and the technical cycle. So we heard a lot about food waste, and that falls under the biological side. And the technical is everything that is inorganic, and the circular economy goes through different loops. And Martin mentioned the first loop is use. Let's use things as much as possible, and as we use them, maintain them to avoid them breaking down and having to repair them afterwards. And then ultimately the outermost loop, so the last resort, would be recycling. And that is because recycling goes down to the prime material, but it stripes away all the human energy that was put into the design and the energy that was put into producing that product. So it is something positive, but there are many other things we can do before we get to that layer. So at Ideo, we're super excited about this new practice because we believe the circular economy is the biggest creative challenge of our time. We think creativity will play a huge role in it. And that's why, together with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, we created the Circular Design Guide, which puts together the principles of design thinking, which is our practice at Ideo, what we do every day, with the concepts of circular economy. And it's meant to invite designers and creators of any kind, not just those who have designer in their title. It includes innovators, it includes grassroots organizations, to get familiar with the concept of circular economy and the mindset shift that invites people to have, and start designing things in a different way, or being mindful at the point of design about the downstream consequences of the choices that we make. Like, for example, what material are we going to make something of? If it's meant to last for 5 minutes so you can drink a cocktail, why make that out of plastic, which is a material that lasts forever? Can it be made out of paper? Yes, and we've seen a lot of people doing that, but yes, it gets soggy, but how long does it need to last? Perfect, that straw. Maybe by the end of your drink it's soggy, but that's okay, because it's served its purpose. And I know there's a lot of controversy around the straw and plastic challenge, but it's kind of one of those symbols that get to people in their everyday life. So what do you find inside the Circular Design Guide? You find different mindsets, like I said. So widening your view of user-centeredness. So we're a human-centered design firm, and we usually start with people. But this invites us to look at people in the context of living systems. So it's not just about us, it's about everything that's around us and how we impact that, how we can serve people's needs without creating negative consequences. And another interesting one is zooming in and zooming out. So you can go very much detailed into looking at which material you're going to choose, but also zooming out and looking at, is there an infrastructure, for example, to recapture that material at the end of its life? So it's a constant process of going in and out as you design. The guide has a series of methods and downloadable resources, exercises that you can do. They follow the design process, which is iterative, creation, exploration, and learning, and then doing that loop again. So I invite you to visit that. It's circulardesignguide.com. And it also has a series of resources, and we're going to try it out in the afternoon. The Circular Strategies Workshop, that is something that is out there for you to replicate if you enjoy the experience and you want to do it with friends or within your own organizations. So after we created the guide, we said, okay, let's use these tools ourselves in our own practice. And as we engage with our clients and try to explore with them what circular economy meant for them and what opportunities it could bring, we realized that you need to collaborate in order to create any kind of product or system in the circular economy. So instead of doing our traditional one-on-one consulting relationship, we looked at another model we have within Ideo, which is called the Collab, where we bring together different companies who have a shared challenge, and we explore together what that might mean. And in the circular economy space in particular, we've been doing it with a value chain construct. So we chose two industries, the food industry and the textiles or fashion industry. And then we went out and tried to identify all the different players that sit in the value chain that would be very valuable in this creation process, and through that collective insight and imagination, try to figure out how we could go from ideas to implementation, and then eventually to scale. And we've been doing that since last year. And the way that it works is that we go through a design sprint. So somebody mentioned that concept before. It's basically a 5-day design process where we put together participants from the companies. So we're not doing the work for them, we're doing it together. And then we bring in startups and also students. And together we follow the design thinking process, which is based in this 3 lenses. So we look at whatever we are creating through 3 lenses. We start with a design brief, so we basically imagine the future that we want to create and start with a hypothesis, like what if use was better than new? And what does that mean? So how do we create desirability for used garments? How do we make it feasible? And how do we make money out of that? So we always start with people. And in the context of the circular economy, and we were having this discussion yesterday at dinner, is we believe at Ideo that anything that we want people to adopt needs to be desirable. Just because it's sustainable, it doesn't need to be ugly. We know it's a high bar, and it's like an ambition that we can make products that are circular that better serve the user need than the linear alternative. And that's how we can get adoption of those products. And then we can also teach people along the way how this is more sustainable and make them more conscious about it. But for the broad majority of people, convenience, time, money, like for all of us, is the first thing in our priority list. So I wanted to show you one example that, in the context of maintenance, that I think it's pretty cool, and it's very simple and desirable, and that is nudie jeans. Caveat, most of the examples I'm going to show you are in the fashion space, because I'm leading that part of the portfolio, where the food one is led by the US team. So I went down the road of fashion. So nudie jeans, it's very simple. Jeans are one of the most ubiquitous garments around the world. We all wear jeans, and we know that there are so many kinds of jeans, and when we find the right pair that fits us really nicely, we really hold on to it. We try to wear it as much as possible, and we do anything we can so that to maintain the fit. So what nudie jeans does is that they create very high quality jeans. The price may be a bit higher than your usual jeans at the beginning, but they offer free repairs for life. So you can always bring your jeans back to the store, and there will be someone there to do a repair for you. Sometimes they even celebrate the stories behind their repair. You can put a little note like, how did that hole happen? You can make visible mending so that it's more of a statement piece. It makes it unique. So this is desirable, but it also makes business sense. It creates loyalty. You are going to come back, and you're probably going to buy another pair of jeans, and you're going to spread the word to your friends. The second lens is feasibility, and this is where we're really excited to explore how technology can be an enabler for the circular economy. And in the context of maintenance, one of the really exciting things is the Internet of Things, so digitally connected products, and the data that generates, and what can we learn about how we design products, how they then perform while they're in use, and how can we then shift the business model based on that information. So one example from the Netherlands, and we were just talking about Amsterdam. It's like one of the places where most creativity comes out of in the circular economy. This is to represent Bundles. It's basically a washing machine rental company, and they use very high quality Miele washing machines that last a lifetime, but they cost a lot up front. So they basically allow people to just pay monthly, a low monthly fee, and then they pay per use. So every time you use the washing machine, like you would pay at a laundromat, you take your clothes and you wash them and you pay for that wash, except that you can do that at home with a really high quality washing machine. And then they have these embedded sensors, and not only to be able to charge you to know like how much how many washes they need to charge you for, but it's also to monitor the performance of the machine and to do preventive maintenance, because they are incentivized to have these machines working at all times, because they are the owners of the machine. So when the company keeps ownership, they are incentivized to maintain and to have maybe the most cutting-edge technology to reduce energy. These machines also have like the detergent dosage. So you see how technology actually can support a mindset shift, and feedback loops is a very common theme in the circular economy. So what can you learn through these connected products? And last but not least, viability. These things need to be self-sustaining financially as well. So from the business model point of view, and we've seen, for example, in the fashion space, companies like Rent the Runway that are growing really fast, and they are making money by selling again things that other companies made, so or renting them out or offering them as a subscription. So the circular economy creates new opportunities to generate value, financial value, and many of these opportunities are actually in the back end. So one in the collab that I mentioned before, one question we had was, how can we keep secondhand products at their highest quality and also get over that ick factor of like wearing clothes that somebody else wore. But also we were trying to understand, like, can we do this in a distributed way and not just like having a centralized facility? Because that means that products need to travel from all over the world back to a central facility just to be washed and be, again, delivered. So that is a lot of CO2 generated in the transport while you're actually trying to do something that is sustainable by renting or reusing products. So we came out with a concept we called Bobbin, and it leverages the gig economy trend, and it was basically a combination of concepts. So we would have in the middle, this is a reusable packaging, again connected by IoT, so that we could find the Bobbin person closest to that product, so that they could either wash it or repair it at their home. So the person who becomes part of the network would get a kit and training about mending or fixing things, or maybe even upcycling them and redesigning them, so a new way to engage designers to become redesigners. And then then they would ship the product to the next user that is closest. So this would require an algorithm to look at like the optimization of who's the best person to send it to, but also would create new job opportunities and a whole new business that is actually in the back end that doesn't necessarily need to be visible to the end user of the subscription service. So this was meant to service the subscription or rental providers in the market. So I wanted to leave you or finish off with a quote from Peter Drucker. He said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." So I wanted to invite all the people in this room. We're all creatives in a way. We are either architects or startups or designers, to make you aware of the power that's in your hand when you create new things that go into the world, or where you put your energy. If the circular economy inspires you, just think about the context in which you're creating something, and what does that impact, and how can, by connecting different players like we do at the Collab, you can generate more value where there wasn't anything before. So thank you very much.